yesterday we started the program by me congratulating you, TJ Jefferson, on the Dallas Cowboys getting Micah Parsons back because the head coach, Brian Schottenheimer, said he fully expects him back.
It's marvelous.
Yeah. And
Rich,
as it turns out, that might be, what's the words for it, cockeyed optimism.
Yeah. Premature.
Tonight, as soon as I'm done with this program, I'm heading over to NFL Network to host the evening's coverage of One Big Large Friday of preseason football, week number 3. And on NFL Network this evening, the Falcons at the Dallas Cowboys.
Yep.
And in advance of that, Jerry Jones went on a little media tour with people he adores, Michael Irvin for his podcast, and Stephen A. Smith for his show. And he said some things.
Yeah.
Micah, as you know, hasn't said anything.
Radio silence.
Well, he's speaking with his Twitter account, but we'll get to that in a second. First things first, as we all know, Clarence Hill, the man who's been covering this team the longest, currently on the beat, he told us about a month and a half ago that Jerry and Micah met with one another and had a talk over his contract that Jerry considered a full-on negotiation, and Micah did not. And Jerry considered it a fully baked negotiation. That once Micah said, talk to my agent, Jerry balked and never reached out to his agent, and to this day has not had a conversation with David Mulugeta, who is an agent of note.
Yeah.
And sure enough, as much as you think that a man in his early 80s having a conversation with a guy who is 26 about dollars and cents and structure and everything, as much as you think that sounds a little bit nutty to consider that a fully baked negotiation, you're not Jerry Jones, and he is, and he's in charge, and it appears this is, in fact, the major sticking point in this negotiation. Certainly the way he told it to Michael Irvin and how he considered the agent's rebuffing of the notion that this was a fully baked negotiation between the owner and player, minus the representation. I guess he termed the way the agent informed Jerry that that's kind of null and void.
I'll drop this one thing on you because this is.
When we wanted to send the details to the agent told us to stick it up our.
Oh, wait. Now, see, I was
just so you're clear.
Wait. What do you mean? So wait. What do you mean? Because people are going to ask. Mike and I talked. Mike and I talked, and then we were going to send it over to the agent. And we had our agreements on term, amount, guarantees, everything. We were going to send it over to the agent. And the agent said, don't bother because we've got all that to negotiate. Well, I'd already negotiated. I'd already moved off my mark on several areas. And so the issue, very frankly, is we've had the negotiation in my mind. And the agent's trying to get his nose in it right now and try to come in there and improve off the mark that we'd already said. Well, we've got this thing resolved in my mind for the Dallas Cowboys. And we've got it done. And if the agent wants to finish up the detail, which is should, and do all the paperwork, and he can do that. And we're ready to go. But as far as the amount of money, the years, the guarantees, all of that, we negotiate that.
Now, I mean, how does one talk about this, certainly when you're talking to a large audience like we do every single day here, including in studio my 14-year-old son? We bleeped out the word ass, Cooper, because anytime it's mentioned in a sentence that includes an assumption that something is being inserted, you got to bleep it. You know, when you put something up or
Steve
in.
Sable. You can just say it. But
right.
You can't have any.
So the reason why, though, I'm lingering on this, much to the chagrin of Cooper, who's not saying anything right now because he doesn't know what to say.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Good job.
Can confirm.
Yes.
Is because that's the most important line in the whole shebang, because that's the way Jerry has interpreted the agent saying, listen, just because you spoke to my client does not mean this is binding in any way, shape, or form, and that these are the terms that we now, as a group, my team, Micah Parsons, must abide by. And he's viewing that statement as stick it up your...
Keister? Hind end.
Right?
Yeah.
So how do you get past that if he's the one who's going to have to make this negotiation happen? And he feels he's already made it happen.
Yeah. Ugh.
As it was evident again, the way that he termed this to Stephen A. Smith when Micah Parsons brought his agent in. He's basically making it, he's infantilizing Micah Parsons with this analogy, bringing in mommy and daddy to the equation. Hear it.
In the spirit of not doing the old mother-dad deal. How many times have you seen the little rascal so clever go in there and mama told him, you're not going to get it. And goes in to daddy, who only sees him after 5 in the afternoon, wants to love him, and says, you can have it, son. You can have that before dinner. And he goes back in and says, Mama, Daddy said I could have it. That's the old mom, dad, been around since the beginning of time. I'm not going to go for that here. That's what's happening.
You're not going for it?
I'm not going for it. No. But we've had a very, very strong negotiation. Now, by the way, frankly, it wouldn't have made any difference what the negotiation was. Guess who has to be comfortable for this to work?
Micah.
And who else?
You.
Hello. There's not room for a third. There's not room for a third. This will be a good one.
Now, Cooper, the reason why we bleeped out that word, okay, we get it. And also, Coop, The Little Rascals is a television show that Mike Del Tufo and I used to watch in New York City. Did you watch Little Rascals when you were a kid too? Okay. It was, I looked it up, originally a collection of short movies involving a bunch of kids from 1922 to 1944, so before you were born.
For all of us.
Or all
yeah,
of us.
I mean, even me.
So, for anybody who's wondering where that reference is.
I mean, I'm old.
And so, he considers Micah now wanting something else, and he's running to the authority, another authority in his life.
Yeah, we did that. I did that.
This guy's not making a deal.
No.
And he's putting that out there, and which is why Florio, who's come on this show from Pro Football Talk and has posted about it, thinks he's just going to say, I'll take Micah Parsons and his dozen sacks and his awesomeness for almost half of what Myles Garrett is going to get paid because he's under contract for it. And I don't have to add another dime to it, even though I did add many more dimes to it. And even improve the offer after Micah came back and asked for it, which led him to believe that this was a negotiation. And so, I mean, I guess Micah has learned in the future, although I don't know if he does find a different place of business. And I imagine he, at some point in time might have another negotiation in his career that might not involve Jerry Jones. But he's kind of learned. The minute this starts, bring your agent in. And don't go and say to Jerry, hey, I've got this, I got that. And then Jerry's going to improve it. So he now thinks this is something, even though, again, I come at it from a point of view of, would I ever have a negotiation myself with one of my superiors who is trying to negotiate a contract? No. Have I gone into a superior and say, once the negotiation has reached a brick wall, hey, can you get this past the goal line? I have done that.
That's different.
And but I will say that once that negotiation occurred,
yeah.
Once I went into the authority and said, can you move this past the goal line? And this individual says to me, this is what I'm going to do. I'll do something. And it comes back through a third party. This is what's going to be done. There is no more negotiation.
Oh, no.
That's it. So I can see what Jerry's point of view is. Other than the fact, though, I cannot imagine, again, somebody who's owns the Dallas Cowboys and has been in this business so long and is so remarkably successful at it that he's got a bust and a jacket, can look and think a 26-year-old is doing his own deal right here, and this is the end of that. And I'm going to hand this off to the agent so they can dot some I's and cross some T's and go over the fine print. But everything else is handled. Like Micah's going to understand.
No way.
You know, what a third-year guarantee means for injury and all this sort of stuff, and what a fourth year this is, and how much money you're going to get up front. I don't know. And if Micah did go to Jerry and say, I want to improve this, I want to improve that, was that coming from his agent? Where did that come up?
Well, he had a number,
but
right?
The whole thing is like there's no other team that does it this way. No other team does it this way. You don't hear anything about this. You're not hearing from, Mike Brown. We already made a deal with Trey Hendrickson. I'm not improving it. You don't hear from the front office management about what's going on with Terry McLaurin. This is it's Jerry's world, man. And Micah's response is to hold in, demand a trade, and now I guess his last move without holding out is removing all things Dallas Cowboys from his social media handles.
That's the...
And, and then post stuff of him kissing goodbye, like making the kiss goodbye thing with
TBD.
I mean,
Oof.
I don't know.
Watching the Netflix special, right? You go back and you kind of, if you didn't know these things about Jerry, you learn them or you relearn them. And he pretty much stands on business, Rich. And once I heard him say I had a number and then I moved on from my number, kind of made me go, all right, this is...
But you can't balk at the fact that the agent is just like, what are you doing? This is not the way it's done in the National Football League. I don't care if you had this negotiation with my client. And for him to say that, it all has to be comfortable as my client is comfortable and I'm comfortable, there is no room for a third. The only way the client is comfortable, speaking as someone who has been a client, is when my representative says, I'm comfortable.
Yeah.
You should be comfortable with this. And your representation that you have, and I have that in the Jerry and Ryan Agents to the Stars, is whenever I have a contract, I'm like, are you fine with it? And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, this is what I'm not fine with. And I want a representative to basically say, you're not going to get that. Move on.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And that's the way it goes. And everybody I've ever negotiated understands that I'm going to be bringing an agent into this.
Exactly.
And so for Jerry to sit here and go, I'm now offended that the kid that I'm willing to make the highest paid player in the position is now bringing in an agent to take a few more million out of my pocket, shouldn't come as a surprise. It should be like, oh, okay. I try to slip that one past the Parsons goalie. I know it's not going to work because Micah is one of the best in the business, and this is what the resetting of the market's going to cost. And I could have gotten it done maybe a little bit sooner. I wouldn't be in this position. He's not thinking that way. And he's getting more set in his ways, it appears.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard really to make a comparison, Rich, when we don't know Micah's side of the story either.
Well,
we don't know what the numbers were. We don't know what was discussed.
Yep. I get it. But Micah's side of the story is going to be this. Because it doesn't really matter right now what the Micah side of the story is. Because it just makes sense that, again, you're a 26-year-old. The owner sits you down. You're going to be like, oh, okay, let me talk. Yep. For sure. This could be easy. Oh, what? That's number? That's a great number. Okay, let me call my agent. And the agent's like, what are you doing? And then you go in and say, Jerry, I know this is, you know, you want to hear it, but can you talk to my agent, please? And he didn't think it was that provocative an act. But again, we're assuming.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The side of the story for Mike is now is you're going to play for $24 million,
or you're going to
sit out. Because that's the way it appears that Jerry's stance is going to be right now, and he's not going to be like blinking. And the only way to make Jerry potentially blink on that is to sit at home on Thursday night's kickoff, September 4th, and you don't get on that plane to Philadelphia, and you let them play a game without you, and you go 0-1. And then you have the Giants coming to your house.
Maybe 0-2.
And then you see what's what. Because Emmett did that.
Yep.
And so I don't have an answer.
A little bit different, though. Emmett did not have a contract.
No, I understand that.
So.
I understand that. It's all different. Different times, different eras. But, man, I know I've been sitting here saying Mike is going to be there, but this sounds like a very, very, very resolute Jerry Jones who considers something that's already been handled and an agent saying that's not binding or that's null and void. I don't know if the agent really did tell him to stick it somewhere. That's the way he's viewing it.
That's how he took it.
And then he's viewing it as just like, hey, how many times, Coop, have you heard from me about something, then you go to Mom? Or you heard from something from Mom and then you go to me? Have you done that before? Does this sound familiar to you?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Does it ever work for you?
No.
Nope.
Normally, yeah, it never works.
Yeah. I feel like, I mean, this is just like what you said. Like, what if he doesn't play in week 1 or week 2? That's the problem. When people need to get paid. He deserves to get paid, but when you can't find a number and then you notice, it's September now, so what are you going to do when you haven't been paid and it's football season? So, like, will he be traded at the deadline? I don't know.
I don't think he's going to get traded at all.
No.
I don't think that makes any sense until maybe next year.
I think they said the Packers or the Chargers made an offer. The Packers, I believe it was.
All I've been told is that if Mike is going to be staring into the abyss and go where, boldly go where few have gone before, I've heard he's the type of person who's going to do that.
Wow.
We shall see. Catch the Rich Eisen Show live weekdays from 12 to 3 p.m. Eastern on Roku Sports Channel in the U.S.